An 8-year-old operatives of Ogun State Police Command have arrested 17-year-old Jamiu Adebayo for allegedly defiling an 8-year-old girl in the Aregbe area of Abeokuta. According to the police reports, the suspect allegedly lured the victim into his family's sitting room, instructed her to remove her underwear, and then sexually assaulted her. The incident came to light when the victim's mother, Olabode, was alerted by neighbors that her daughter was bleeding. Initially, the victim claimed the stick had caused the injury. However, after further questioning, she reportedly confessed that Adebayo had raped her. The victim stated that the suspect took her to the bathroom to clean the blood, instructed her to change her underwear, and told her to lie about the cause of the injury. Detectives swiftly sprang into action and apprehended the suspect, stated Omolola Oduntola, spokesperson for the Ogun State Police Command. A medical firm has been issued to the victim and her mother for examination and reporting. Preliminary investigations are currently underway. This incident followed a similar case recently where a 55-year-old man was arrested for allegedly raping a 13-year-old girl in Shagamu. Why the cause of rape? What are your thoughts on this story? Why is he on the high?
Well, I believe stories like this happen, things like this happen all the time. And just that we don't usually hear about them, or most people that do this kind of thing don't get caught.
When you say all the time, that means it's a frequent occurrence. Now, you know that in recent times, we've heard more and more of the stories. I mean, every passing day, one of the stories are published in the papers, at least one. And no, there are most times 4 different scenarios, different cases in different states. So why do you think it has become so prevalent? Why is it on the rise so much?
Well, you know, with the advantage of technology, stories can go viral within a short time.
Okay.
So what happens now is that anything that happens in a particular place, in a particular time, we always get the news. Right. So, but this is almost all over the world. This kind of thing happens, you know, because people, you know, children are prone to this kind of deception. Somebody, an adult luring them, or even their mates. This kind of thing happens among children, and even sometimes, but this one is an adult molesting a child, somebody that is underage.
All right.
So what happens is that the neighborhood has a role to play. And this one too, I think the neighbors also helped in discovering what happened, you know, fishing out the culprit himself.
Right.
So the protection of a child is the work of the community, the neighborhood.
All right.
It's not only the parents, because sometimes parents can be away. So, but when you are away, when you are far away from home, you should be able to know where your child is. You should be able to know who is in custody of your child. Anything can happen. All these things that happen, this is part of, you know, the natural world is violent. Anything can happen. People can do anything. You know, they can violate children, and you know, when you find yourself in this kind of environment, this natural world where people are moved by their feelings, you know what to do. You need to protect yourself. You need to protect your child, because you don't trust
the next person.
Yes,
now,
the next person.
Now, when back in the day when we were growing up, 15, 17, few people wanted to explore a little bit, right?
Yes.
Few people wanted to explore a little bit more than other people would want to explore at that time. It's difficult to see a clamor, if I would say so, of maybe 7 boys, and what they think about is how they want to, you know, have coitus, get at a girl, get at a little girl. when I talk about how prevalent it is now, you have days where you have a 13-year-old sleeping with a 3-year-old.
Yeah.
You have days where you hear stories of a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
Do you think, right? You rightly mentioned that technology has played a role in it.
Yeah.
But other than technology, right? Do you think that the idea of what we see as regards people want to sell a business, every other thing you look at right now in this times are surrounded with a taint of pornography?
Yes. You know.
Now, what are your thoughts as regards how that has played a role in, you know, people and young children and young boys who have their whole future ahead of them, wanting to explore more as regards sexual relations, not minding the consequences that follows
yes,
it?
you know, sex itself is part of nature. Nobody teaches you how to have sex or to have feelings for sex. Children, even children that have not seen any pornography, they have not seen anybody having sex with another person, they always experiment it. Animals do it. Nobody has taught them that kind of thing before. They always experiment it. But we human beings, we need to know that it's not everything we allow children to do when they are little, and we don't need to trigger that instinct.
So what do you think is triggering it?
Now, you mentioned pornography.
All right.
You mentioned nude photos, nudity flying up here and there on Facebook, on papers, on magazines. When we grew up, we didn't see Facebook, we didn't see social media. What we saw that time was magazine. So we happened to see some of these nude photos. We find women, naked women on, you know. Sometimes you say, this person is a human being. So that means this lady I'm seeing also has the same kind of shape. So you want to experiment. This is nature. So what happens is that we try our best not to trigger that desire from people. Take that kind of movie away from children. When you have sexual scenes in movies, so most parents advise their children to look away, or they put it off. Or they go through the movies they watch first before the children start watching.
Enjoying.
So that is how to curtail these things. If not, if they keep watching it, something will surely happen, because they are human beings. You cannot take it away from them. But you have to help them, discipline them by taking these kind of things away from them when they are little. Then when they grow up, when they have matured, when they are mature enough, they can. It's nature. God allows it.
Right.
For it to
now, let's hold on to the thought of mature enough, because I want to ask you something else. I want you on one hand to tell me your thoughts as regards when mature enough, when you think children are mature enough. Now, that is on one hand. On the other hand of what I want to ask you is, we're in a society where everybody is trying to make their children become used to technical gadgets, as it were, because it's evolving. Right, we have the internet, we have different modes of communication. Many schools, as it were, usually say, we want to send you guys your assignments on your email, right? Yes. Now, so many parents dive into the idea of, let me buy my child a phone. Some people buy these phones for fun. I want to buy my child a phone so they would have a phone to, you know, chat with their friends. And certain measures which are meant to be put in place as regards giving a child a phone, for certain parents that are not aware, do not put in those measures. Now, what I want to ask you is, on one hand, I just previously asked about the age where you think a child is grown enough. What age do you think a phone, as it were, should be given to a child? When do you think parents should say, okay, this child is mature enough? Because I'm bringing from the point of the question I just asked you into the next one. What do you think, it's old enough?
Nowadays, they are born into technology.
Yes.
And that's why they call them digital natives. Now, a majority of us are digital immigrants. So they are, whether you like it or not, they will be seeing it. They will see you use phones. They will see you operate electronic gadgets. Spontaneously, they can do that by themselves. They can operate those things if you give it to them.
All right.
They can operate them. So I don't think there's any age where you can say a child can be given a phone to use.
So what I mean, giving a phone. My choice is regards giving a phone to use unsupervised.
Yes, that is good. Now you can supervise them from the time they are born. I watched a movie. I watched a video clip where a child was that day. That moment the child was born. The child just saw the father using a phone, carried the phone from the father. I don't know whether you have watched that video. No, the child was giving birth to. The child picked the phone from the father and started operating it. So then what does it tell you? That these children are born into technology. This is their moment. Right. This is the time they have to use it. So from the time a child is born, he's free to use phone. But he's not free to use any application of the phone. He's not free to use the phone unsupervised from the time he or she is born.
You know the point of what I'm trying to get you. When you pick up a phone, you have a phone. I have access to a phone. You have access to a phone. Sometimes you're on. You're just online. Say you want to go social media binging and you're scrolling to maybe Facebook, YouTube. Now, there are certain sections of a video that you did not even click on will pop up on your feed. Right? So now, when you give a child a phone unsupervised, do you know that leads them to access to such videos?
Yes. The child can accidentally, see a phone, see a clip, a video clip he's not supposed to see. Right. Especially on social media. Right. This is where these kind of things happen all the time. So what happens, if you take a look at the law they recently passed in Australia, I think late last year, was it December, they passed that law in Australia, that a child is not allowed to use social media until 18. If you're under 18, you cannot use the social media. So when a child is 18 and above, or enters, you can allow the child to use social media. But if you have the time to monitor them, they can use any of the social media, TikTok, Facebook, and so on and so forth. But you have to have the login code. You have to have the secret, the details of the login. Right. So that you know what is happening there.
Thank you so much. What do you think the government can do? What sort of punishment do you think should be given to rapists to act as a deter for many people? Because you see the story of the 55-year-old man. Yes. He has gone to rape somebody. You see the one of the 14-year-old. You see the one of the 38-year-old. It's a continuous thing. Now, if I remember in the time of, this is not an advocate for crime or taking laws into one's hand, but I think when I was growing up, there was lots of stealing going on in Aba at the time, and I think they took some kind of drastic measures, which in turn, I'm sure many innocent people must have gotten down for it, but it did create some kind of fear in people to want to, continue stealing. Now, what sort of punishment do you think should be put in place? Now, I'm talking about all of the ministries guiding children and women. You have the Ministry of Women Affairs. We have laws against, we have the Violence Against People's Prohibition Act. We have child rights laws. What laws do you think should be put in place as regards when someone rapes somebody? What do you think? Now, putting you in a place of authority where you can decide to say this should happen to people that rape people. What sort of punishment do you think should be given that can act as a deter for intending rapists so we can mitigate the situation?
I think there are laws already that prohibit rape.
Prohibits it. So there are laws. But now, putting you in a position of authority, let's say now you're supposed to decide for the whole of Nigerians. What can you say this law will be the perfect plan that will become the blueprint to act as a deter for people wanting to commit rape?
In some countries, we have life in prison for rapists.
Do you think that's fair enough judgment?
You can't kill. I don't think. What is harsher than life in prison? I think is execution. And you can't execute somebody because he raped somebody.
Why?
Somebody else.
Why?
Now, unless the person is raped to death. I'm not a lawyer, but I believe that if somebody is caught raping another person, I think the maximum punishment is life in prison. But I think there is a stipulated number of years for rapists. I think that's fair enough.
You think if a person goes away to prison for 20 years for raping somebody, is fair enough?
When the person comes back, the person must have changed to a better person.
Why do you think the person would have changed to a better person? Now, what about the effect of when someone is raped?
Yes.
It's a permanent scar on the person that was raped. It doesn't go away. The trauma doesn't leave.
Yes.
Right? Now, we're talking about an 8-year-old. Do you think she's going to just forget about it?
Now, the trauma...
So do you think this boy going away for 10 years is enough? 15 years is enough? 20 years is enough?
Well, the person spending years, it doesn't matter the number of years, spending years in prison, it's supposed to be enough. You know, it's not... Okay, so what other punishments?
That is why I asked you, what punishment you're in a power of authority to decide the fate of all rapists?
I believe a good number of years to spend in prison is okay for the person. But sending somebody in prison is not the ultimate goal. The essence of sending somebody to prison is to rehabilitate the person, to reform the person.
Right.
So when by the time the person comes out, the person will become a better person.
Right.
So the idea of punishing people to destroy them, it doesn't work. It doesn't help anybody.
But that is in line with after they have also destroyed someone else. Let's